Today we have a guy as a leader from China talking to us. How are you? What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Wang Han.
So can you please introduce yourself, your role, and your team?
Okay, sure. I currently work at ICBC Shanghai in the corporate finance department as a relationship manager team lead. I lead a team of 10 people, and we mainly serve small and medium-sized enterprise clients, helping them with loans, international settlements, and general financial consulting. I've been with the bank for 9 years, starting as a relationship manager and working my way up to this leadership role. Over the years, I've seen a lot of changes. Our client base has become more international, and the bank has been pushing for digital transformation. My job now isn't just about managing clients, it's also about leading the team, training newcomers, and make sure new processes rolled out smoothly.
Cool. So, what are the biggest responsibilities and challenges in your role?
Well, I think I have two main responsibilities. First, making sure the team hits our business targets, like loan issuance and client satisfaction scores. Secondly, helping the team grow so they are not just getting tasks done, but also building their own skills. The challenges come mainly from two areas: performance pressure, especially when the economy is uncertain and morale can dip, and the bank's digital transformation, like moving our approval process online. That means I need to train the team on new systems while also helping them deal with the stress of change.
Right. What leadership approach do you use to keep your team engaged and motivated?
My style is pretty flexible, but generally supportive and empowering. I spend time understanding each team member's goals and challenges. I like to use questions in our one-on-ones to hear their thoughts and guide them toward solutions rather than just giving orders. Of course, when there's a big project launch or heavy pressure, I will switch to being more directive, giving very clear goals and breaking down responsibilities so everyone feels grounded. I think this balance keeps them engaged while still giving them enough freedom.
So, let's move to part two. The first topic is cross-cultural leadership. The first question for you: have you ever built trust with someone from a different culture in a quickly tough situation?
There was a time when we worked with a European client who, due to bad past experiences with our bank, didn't fully trust the process. And this project had to be completed within 2 weeks. I arranged a face-to-face meeting to explain the entire process clearly, promised progress updates every 2 days, and had our best English speaking colleague handle communication. In the end, the project was delivered on time and the client was not only satisfied but also refer other corporate clients to us. I realized in urgent situations, fast and transparent communication is the best way to build trust quickly.
Well, the next question for you is: describe a time when adapting your leadership style to a different culture improved team outcomes.
Well, I remember a time when we started working with a European owned SME client whose way of working and communication style were very different from ours. They prefer to be very direct, wanting decisions to be made quickly in meetings and didn't like long background presentations. At first, our team followed our usual approach, preparing lengthy materials and detailed explanations, and the client found it inefficient and got impatient. Once I realized the issue, I adjusted my leadership style. I held a meeting with the team and explained that for clients like this, we needed to be concise and direct. We prepared conclusions and key data upfront, presented the core proposal first, and saved detailed explanations for when the client asked questions. I also suggested sending a short summary before meeting so the client could review the highlights ahead of time. After this adjustment, the client responded much more positively, engaged actively in the decision making, and the project timeline moved 20% faster than planned. It taught me that as a leader, adapting our style to different cultural expectations not only improves relationship but also help the whole team work more efficiently.
Sounds good. So, the next one I wonder is, in your opinion, what is key to building trust across cultures at work?
I believe the two most important things are transparency and respect. In cross cultural settings, people have different expectations and habits. If a leader can explain the process, timelines, and the reasons behind them upfront, both the team and the client feel more respected and more willing to cooperate. I often hold kickoff meetings at the start of a project to lay everything out clearly and encourage questions. This approach helps eliminate misunderstandings before they even arise and allows the team to work more smoothly. I've learned that proactive communication is far more effective than fixing issues after they occur.
All right, thanks. And the next question is, have you ever had a conflict when working with people from a different culture?
Oh, once, yeah, we were working with an Australian client who thought our loan approval process was far too slow and almost wanted to end the partnership. I scheduled a video call to explain China's compliance process in detail so they could understand why certain steps were necessary. At the same time, I proposed a compromise, pre-collecting some documents to shorten the timeline. The client understood and decided to move forward, and they even said they trusted us more because we were transparent and willing to find solutions. This showed me that in cultural conflicts, both clear explanations and flexible solutions are essential.
Okay. So,
Can you please share an example of leading a culturally diverse team through a crisis or high-pressure situation?
There was a time when we had to handle an urgent financing request from a European multinational client. Their time expectations were extremely tight, and a few of our newer team members weren't familiar with international procedures, so the pressure was high. I quickly reorganized the team, assigning colleagues with stronger language skills to communicate directly with the client while others focus on preparing all the approval documents. To prevent miscommunication, I held two short 10-minute check-in meetings every day so everyone stayed aligned. We end up completing the approval 2 days ahead of schedule, and the client praised our professionalism and efficiency. This taught me that in high pressure situations, a leader must allocate resources fast, leverage each person's strength, and keep communication crystal clear.
Pretty nice. So I'm gonna move to the next topic, transformational management and leadership. The first question for you is, how do you inspire your team?
I don't really rely only on bonuses, incentives to inspire my team. The key is helping them understand the real purpose behind our work. So, for example, when we started rolling out digital transformation tools, many felt it was just extra work. I took time to explain how these tools actually help clients improve efficiency and free us from repetitive tasks so we can focus more on solving client programs. In team meetings, I share real stories, in like how one client thanks us to our new online approval system, secure funding earlyly, and survive a cash flow crisis. It helped the team see that our work impacts clients directly, not just numbers on the report. I also make a point to recognize everyone's contributions Whether it's closing a large loan or suggesting process improvements, I acknowledge them publicly so they feel valued. The recognition leads to a more initiative. For example, one teammate proposed restructuring client assignments, which improve overall client satisfaction by 15%. I've learned that inspiration comes not just from rewards, but from showing people the bigger purpose and making sure their contributions are truly appreciated.
Positive. So, what does transformational leadership mean to you, and how do you protest it?
To me, transformational leadership is about helping the team grow through change, not just survive it. It means leading by example. For example, during my bank's digital transformation, I made sure I learned the new system myself and demonstrated the workflow to the team instead of simply telling them to do it. I also organized internal sharing sessions so every employee could voice concerns. Many worried that learning new tools would hurt their performance. So I walked them through how the systems actually save time and shared success stories from other teams. This support helped reduce their anxiety. Over the past year, our team successfully adapted to three new systems, improved our efficiency by 25%, and three team members even volunteered to train staff from other departments. I have learned that transformational leadership isn't just about driving change, it's about leading from the front, listening to the concern, and providing the right support so people embrace change willingly, not reluctantly.
Perfect. So how do you align people around shared values or purpose beyond standard goals?
I think performance metrics alone aren't enough because employees can become too focused on numbers and forget about service quality. I regularly hold team discussions where we talk about what good client service life looks like and set shared goals, like maintaining a client net promoter score at a certain level, not just meeting loan targets. To make it more real for them, I share specific stories like one client who because we carefully resolve a complicated international settlement issue, not only stay with us, but refer to new clients. I tell the team that outcomes like this come from great service, not just sales. These discussions have shifted the team's mindset from just finishing tasks to creating long term value, and it's improved the teamwork as well. In the past 3 months, our client renewal rate has gone up by 20% and morale is higher. This taught me that when a leader can align a team around shared values, the results go far beyond hitting the numbers.
Yeah, I think so. So the next question is, can you share a time when you help someone do more than they thought they could?
I remember one a new colleague who felt they could never handle a new major client on their own and was constantly worried about making mistakes. I first paired them with a senior teammate for 2 weeks so they could observe client interactions and see how proposals were prepared. Then I gave them smaller, manageable tasks like organizing client data and preparing presentation materials so they could build confidence step by step. During that time, I met with them every 2 days for a quick 10-minute check-in to discuss any challenges and offer concrete advice. This was one meeting where they couldn't answer a question about international settlements. Instead of criticizing, I reviewed the question with them, provided resources, and made sure they were ready for the next time. 3 weeks later, they managed their first big client project independently, got great feedback, and become much more confident. This experience reminded that as a leader, our role isn't to do things for people, but to create a safe, structured space where they can gradually grow and exceed their own expectations.
Sounds good. So, When faced with uncertainty, how do you decide which direction to take?
When facing uncertainty, my first step is gathering information. I try to understand concerns from both the team and the client, especially which risks matter most to them. Then I hold small discussions with core team members to weigh risks and benefits and brainstorm possible paths forward. After deciding, I always explain clearly why we are taking that route and what each person's role will be. For example, last year we had to deal with a new regulatory policy which created a lot of uncertainty. I decided we should launch a pilot project instead of a full rollout. Some team members felt this cautious approach would slow us down, but I explained the compliance risks and they understood and followed through. The pilot was successful and we avoided potential compliance issues. This experience taught me that with uncertainty, information gathering, team involvement, and transparent communication help ensure that even employees who disagree with a decision will still support and execute it.
Perfect. So now we move to the last topic, coaching through questions and listening. The first question for you is, how do you create opportunities to coach others through asking questions and listening?
When I coach team members, I try to avoid simply giving them answers. Instead, I use questions to help them think for themselves. In one-on-one conversations, I often ask, what do you think the client really needs? Or where do you see the biggest risk in this project? These kinds of questions make them pause and look at the bigger picture, not just their immediate tasks. I make a conscious effort to listen without interrupting, let them share their full thoughts, and then summarize what they have said to help identify blind spots. Once a colleague felt a client complaint was unsolvable, I didn't hand him a solution. I invited him to analyze the root cause. Was it slow processes or poor communication? He came up with his own improvement plan, spoke with the client directly, and not only resolved the complaint, but secure additional business from them. This approach has taught me that asking questions and listening builds employees' independent thinking. It's more effective than spoon feeding solutions, and it gives them confidence to handle similar situations in the future.
Nice. The second one is, what role does active listening play in fostering a culturable environment?
I believe active listening is the foundation of a coachable environment because if employees feel interrupted or ignored, they won't open up. When I talk with my team, I maintain eye contact, use small nods or brief verbal cues to show I'm listening, and I often paraphrase their key points, saying things like, "So your concern is that the process feels too complicated, right?" This helps them feel understood and respected. When they know they are being heard, they are much more open to feedback, even critical feedback. For example, last month a team member made a mistake on the project and was defensive at first. But when I let him fully share his perspective and confirmed that I understood his situation, he was willing to listen to my suggestions for improvement and even asked for extra training. I have learned that listening builds trust, and trust is the foundation of any successful coaching relationship.
Good for you. And the next question for you is, can you describe how you use follow-up questions to deepen an employee's self-awareness?
When a team member faces a challenge or failure, I usually don't jump in with solutions. Instead, I use follow up questions to help them reflect. I often ask, if you had another chance, what would you do differently, or what part do you think you went best, and what could have been improved? These questions help them slow down, extract lessons, and focus on improvement instead of just feeling discouraged. For example, one team member caused a project delay due to poor communication and initially blamed the client for being overly demanding. And through guided questions, he realized he had missed details in meeting summaries and follow ups. He volunteered to learn a project management tool and in the next project created a communication checklist in advance. That project was delivered on time and the client was very satisfied. This showed me that follow-up questions help employees better understand both their strengths and weaknesses, and that self-awareness accelerates growth.
Nice. So, has any leader ever helped you solve difficult by asking question and listening?
Yes, my former supervisor often guided me with questions instead of simply giving me the answers. When I was struggling with a financing proposal for an international client, he didn't solve it for me but asked, "What do you think the client's biggest concern is? And do you think our current proposal addresses that concern?" These questions made me think from the client's perspective and realize our proposal was too complex. The clients needed clearer terms. And with his guidance, I revised the proposal and we won the client's approval. More importantly, this approach taught me a lasting habit. When I face challenges, I break down the situation with questions first before jumping to the solution. It's influenced my own leadership style. Now I coach my team in the same way, helping them think independently rather than relying on me for answers.
Perfect. So, the last question for you is, what role does active listening play in your approach to coaching others?
Active listening is always my first step when coaching others. I let employees fully express their thoughts without interrupting or jumping in with advice because often they just need someone to genuinely listen. Once they finish, I restate their points to make sure I understand, then use questions to help them find improvements themselves. For example, asking, "Do you think there is a more efficient way to do this?" Or if the client is cost sensitive, how could we adjust the plans? By doing this, employees feel like they are driving their own growth instead of being forced to change, and they are more motivated to try new approaches. Recently, one colleague I coached used this process to improve his client communication style, which boosted client satisfaction and earned him a promotion. I have realized that listening not only makes employees feel respected, but it also makes them more willing to embrace coaching and change.
Nice. That's all questions I want to know. So, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye.